Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Goldmine Report, where we talk about all things 49ers all the time. My name is Jeff Malinoff. I'm your host, as always, and today we're going to be talking about the 53-man roster moves and the official 53-man roster. Who's a surprise and who, well, is not much of a surprise. We already know who those non-surprises are, but there are some surprises in there that I'm kind of shocked about. Some of the cuts that happened, one of the ones I was mainly shocked about was Clinton Dix. I think Clinton Dix, I thought he was going to be on the roster. I thought he was going to be one of the safeties. I didn't think he was going to be a starter, obviously. I thought he was going to be a backup alongside Hufanga. I thought those two were going to be intertwined with how the rotation goes for the safety positions and sometimes maybe even corner slots for Clinton Dix. But I thought him mainly as a safety backup. I know he was released or cut from the roster, if you will, whatever one you go with. That was probably one of the main surprises. And looking at that, the other roster moves that were released were Wayne Gallman was released, a running back that was signed originally from the New York Giants. He was released now. He is picked up by the Atlanta Falcons as of today. So he's with Atlanta now. I didn't expect him to make it. Well, I didn't really think that. My brother Scott was adamant on saying, no, I don't think he's going to make it. I think someone else is going to take his spot, and he's not going to make the official roster. I thought he was going to, but it didn't seem like he didn't have that big of a preseason. JaMycal Hasty had the most rushing yards of anyone in the preseason, so it obviously seemed fitting to put him in the official roster. I didn't expect. I thought Gallman would be in the practice squad, if anything. I didn't expect him to just be gone. Now he's with Atlanta, so he's not with the 49ers anymore. What also is a part of the official running back roster is JaMycal Hasty, Elijah Mitchell. It was Trey Sherman, that was an obvious one, and Raheem Mostert. Those are the running backs that we have. Jeff Wilson, again, is dealing with injuries. He's not going to be a part of the roster. He's on the injured reserve list at the moment. I have all this stuff here. Thank you so much to Pro Football Talk for the for the official information about all this. And who I feel really bad about the most when it comes to these cuts and everything is Jordan Matthews. Jordan Matthews has been cut and re-signed by the Niners so often, like numerous times of cut, signed to the practice squad, cut, signed to the practice squad, cut, signed to the practice squad. Like countless times this guy has had to deal with that. And then he goes and switches to tight end, which seems like, okay, they're going to probably keep him in, have a 4 tight end on the roster. But no, they keep 3 tight ends. They keep Charlie Warner and Ross Dwelly and George Kittle as their 3 tight ends. And they cut Jordan Matthews, who then gets signed to the practice squad again as a tight end still. So he's probably going to be kept in as a practice squad tight end. And God forbid, Kittle or Dwelly or Warner get injured and they need another tight end in there for their offense. So it looks like Jordan Matthews is going to be the guy just in case someone gets injured. He's going to be winning at the helms, if you will. So it kind of sucks for him because of how often he got cut and released, cut and signed and cut and whatever. The guy has been he probably, I don't know, I guess he's just happy for an opportunity to still be on the roster, so It's one of those things where you look at it and go, oh, I guess there was a bright side to it. He's still on the roster. He's still getting paid. He still has an opportunity to do something worthwhile in the NFL. So, looking at other guys who were moved around and everything, the official wide receiver roster on here, and the official one, is a good one. I really like who the 49ers have as their group of wide receivers. We already know the first bunch: Sanu, Ayuk, and Samuel. Then we have Sherfield, who I think is going to be the the slot receiver, the number 3 receiver. Him and Sanu are probably going to be back and forth on that. And then you get Juwan Jennings in there, who was a practice squad guy last year. He had some nagging injuries, but he's from University of Tennessee. Had a big Hail Mary pass completed to him by Dobbs, of all people, back in Tennessee, defeating Georgia. So he's still a huge dude. He's probably the tallest guy on the wide receiver list. And I like when it's good to have a guy that's tall and bulky at a wide receiver position. If you just have one, I think he'll be a very good addition to the wide receiver addition. And then you have Jalen Hurd. He is healthy, knocking on wood. Healthy. He is on the official roster. It is great to see. There is so much about him that so many Niner fans and the Niner organization like about him. He's a bruiser. He has running back ability and wide receiver ability morphed into one. And he had a great preseason against the Cowboys in 2019 where we were all like, all right, this guy could be the future. And then he had a hairline back fracture, which sucked. And then he tears his ACL the next year, and we're like, oh, that poor guy, because he has such a bright future. He has the talent you want especially the offense that Shanahan runs, where it's like short passes, some end arounds. That he is a former running back, so he knows how to run those and knows how to do that very well. So it fits perfectly for that kind of offense that Shanahan wants to run. So having him on that roster is going to be a huge addition. If he is as good as we have touted him out to be, he's going to be a star on the 49ers team for sure. So there's a big fingers crossed there. And of course, going on to the defensive side, like I said, Honklin Dix was the biggest name to be cut. Looking at the roster, it seems it was pretty straightforward. It was pretty, we expected it. The biggest thing, I guess the biggest news of them was the number changes again. So this time, DeQuesti Tart is not number 26 anymore. He's number 3. So now our secondary, Jimmy Ward is number 1. Jason Verrett's number 2. DeQuesti Tart's number 3. And Emmanuel Mosley's number 4. So our main secondary guys are 1 through 4, which is kind of cool. I think that's one of the reasons he changed it, but that's cool. I didn't know why he changed from 29 to 26. I kind of didn't like the number 26 on him because I was so used to 29, so it just kind of threw me off. But having him at number 3, I don't mind. One thing that's really going to, just seeing the single-digit numbers is going to throw me off. I think it's going to throw everybody off. It's going to be weird seeing single-digit numbers on secondary guys and wide receivers and that kind of thing in the future. So it's going to take a season or two to really get used to it. So I think for everybody. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to look forward to it. But looking at all of that, I like what the 49ers got. I like the 49ers team right now. They look like a playoff contender with this lineup. And then we have Nick Bosa and Dee Ford coming back. Those guys are at the healthiest at the moment. They're going to be probably playing week 1 next week against the Lions. And what a perfect matchup. We'll talk about it next week. We'll preview the Lions and 49ers next week. But what a perfect matchup for the Niners in their first week 1 game on a team that's on the rebuild, new head coach, traded their franchise quarterback for a guy that's a franchise quarterback. I don't want to call Jared Goff a franchise quarterback, but he has the ability. I mean, he did take a team to a Super Bowl, no, but that was McVay's offense. Basically, like Shanahan, you know how to work with the guy you got to the best of your ability. The head coach of the Lions right now is a brand new head coach. Not in that sense of McVay of knowing how to work a quarterback to the best of their ability. So we'll see how the Lions shape up. But again, I think they're in a full rebuild mode right now. So the 49ers, with all these guys coming back, all these guys 100% healthy, facing a not superior Lions team that's probably going to be on the bottom of the NFL, might be looking at number 1 or number 2, maybe a top 5 pick this year. That's what the experts are saying. That's what kind of everyone's expecting because it's a brand new coach, because it's a brand new team than last year's. So we'll see how that turns out for them. But it's a good matchup for the 49ers because of the new health everyone has. And I think it's going to be very good for the 49ers. And this 53-man roster can compete with the best of them, especially on the defensive side, offensive side. I guess we'll see how the quarterback situation is. We already know the quarterback position. We don't even know who's going to be the starting quarterback right now. There is some doubt that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be QB1. I still think he's going to be quarterback 1. I just think it's the right thing to do, not put the kid in the fire right away. But again, it is the Detroit Lions, so it's not the biggest of fires. It's not like they're going against the Seahawks or like a LA Rams or like a division rival right away, which is kind of immature to do because he still needs to work it out, and facing a very high-profile game like that, maybe not the best. But against the Detroit Lions, we might see him a little more often than not. I think so. I think that's a big-time possibility. But we don't even announce who the QB1 is yet, so it's all in due time. But looking at it right now, I really like what the 49ers have to offer. Here is my official record prediction for the 49ers. I won't go game by game, but my official prediction is 13-4. 13-4, fighting for an NFC West title. It's either that or a wild card spot guaranteed because 13 wins. But 13-4. I just think the record last year benefits us this year because we faced the bottom of the barrel because we were fourth in the NFC West. We play other fourth seeded teams in other divisions, as well as the other division games we have to play regardless. So looking at that, this might benefit the Niners being last place going. That's how worse the first happened because you're a better team, and then you have to face the bottom tier teams of other divisions too. So I think that's a big time momentum shift for the Niners going into the season is facing these weaker teams because they're not the weakest team on the bottom of the division because of all those injuries. They're now back at full health of a Super Bowl team. So that's a good sign. And we're getting super lucky, honestly, with getting the Lions first because we're facing the NFC North regardless. So facing the worst of the bunch in the first week is pretty beneficial for the 49ers. But let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your thoughts on the 53-man roster, on what do you expect the 49ers to do this season. If any topics or anything come along, please let me know. Tweet me at Goldmine Report or my personal Twitter at Jeff Malinoff. The links will be in the description. So if you have any comments, questions, or anything else you want me to discuss right here on the Goldmine Report, let me know. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys got. But until then, till next time, my name is Jeff Malinoff, and stay faithful, y'all.